Welcome to Muscogee Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. SJ Stongo, Gary Fife, Joe Jifkidos. Did you hear our intro a little bit a few minutes ago? Did you think maybe we snuck one in on you? Well, it's this modern technology that got a hold of us here today at 1240 The Brew, but here we are in person now. We have several things we're going to try and slip into the program this morning. First of all, we have a couple of recorded pieces, actually. Mark Pendergrass from the Temporary Assistance to Needy Families Program will be talking about their ongoing poverty seminar today. And then we have a recorded piece we did with Pat Crofts when we got a look at the River Spirit Hotel and its new theater and material. The third segment we're going to try and slip in is a piece on the upcoming Scholarship Pageant. Today, I believe, is the last day for applicants to enter that pageant. That's the Miss Muscogee Nation, Miss Junior Muscogee Nation, and we'll be chatting with Tara Beaver to get a quick update on that one. So we've got a lot of stuff to get shared with you this morning, and who knows, we may get a call from our good friend Darren. So first of all, Mark Pendergrass and the Poverty Seminar, which is going on right now at the Mound Building, talking about what is poverty. I guess most Indians would, first of all, kind of chuckle at that, saying, yeah, we know poverty, we know what it is, and we're really aware of it. But what's the emphasis? What's the motivation for your seminar here?
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but January is actually National Poverty Awareness Month. And so as the TANF program, we try to combat poverty. And so we try to instill in our participants, ways to get out of it. We try to make them self-sufficient.
How is our tribe doing poverty-wise? Is there a percentage you work with? Can you make like a guesstimate or something like that?
I really can't make a guesstimate on the percentage-wise, because with our program, we don't see as much people as we probably should have that are sent to us. I know a lot of people utilize social services. We're under the umbrella of social services also, so we work with them, which they try to make referrals over to us. But as far as percentage, I really can't make a guesstimate of how much of our people are actually considered poverty.
Who's walking in the door? Is it like single mothers? Is it entire families? Is it elders? Who is it that's really requiring the kind of assistance you offer?
The majority of our participants are single mothers raising kids by themselves. We do have a few families, two-parent families. We categorize them as one parent and two parent, and then which is elderly, which is the grandparents raising the grandkids. But the majority of people we do see are single mothers that come through, and those are the ones who are actually in school trying to better their life.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any numbers of people that you have on the list for assistance?
Currently, we do have roughly 180 participants on our program. That has risen from when we first started our program in 2008. So we don't like to see those high numbers, but then again, we also are glad people are wanting to get on this program to try and better themselves.
Now, is there a limit to the amount of assistance that a family can get, time-wise or financially-wise?
Yes. We do go off of how many people are in the family, how many children they have in the family, whether it's one parent, two parent. We do have a grant amount for those families. The same thing with the child-only case. Depending on how many children in the home, there are certain amounts for that too. And there is a time limit for TANF. It is 60 months total, and that's nationwide. Whether they get it from another state, it follows wherever they go. So if they get it from Oklahoma, state of Oklahoma DHS, and they come to our program, depending on how many months they had there, that's just going to say how many months they have left with us too.
So there is a national record available to an agency of this person, this family. They come in and apply. They can look them up real quick and see whether or not they've had help. And sounds like it would be a safeguard to keep those moochers off of there.
There is. There's not actually a national database for it, so we have to email those states individually. We work with Oklahoma State very well. They work a little bit more closer to other states than what we could possibly do. And so we do email a representative of Oklahoma, and she sends us the months. We email her the participants, the children's social security number, and then she will email us how many months they have on TANF. And then if they do have another TANF case, if they told us they live in another state, we will go ahead and email that state just to make sure for ourselves that there is no, they didn't exceed their 60-month time limit.
Do you have many people who try to slip through the system like that? I mean, do you run into that? I wouldn't think it's all the time, but, just occasionally there's got to be somebody who's trying to play the game.
There are occasionally. It's not very often that we do find that somebody has reached their 60 months, and which, of course, we verify with other states, and they get back to us, and we have to tell them that you have reached your 60-month time limit, which unfortunately we cannot assist you. So we do try to refer them to other agencies within the tribe or within state or county referrals.
So it just doesn't end right there. If there's some other way, perhaps they can get help. Good. Now, the topic here, breaking the cycle of dependence, that's intriguing. What sorts of topics or ideas are going to be discussed?
Our youth programs coordinator, Lauren Rando, she is the one who's going to be speaking about this part. And one of TANF's purposes is also to reduce dependency of needy parents by promoting job preparation and work in marriage, and prevent and reduce innocence out of wedlock pregnancies. Now, I know that kind of doesn't sound like it goes with breaking the cycle of dependency, but actually it all does, because we do want to focus on the children, to try and talk to them and educate the parents on what they could be doing with their children. There are going to be several things she's going to speak on. Like I said, she's going to educate. She's going to try to train parents on what they need to work on their children on, budgeting-wise, several different things that, I can't go into great detail about right now. But, once we're there, then, she's going to explain everything that we possibly can that she's found ways to help parents.
Okay, who would you suggest attend this seminar?
I would suggest anybody in the community, any professional that's working with poverty-stricken families, families who are in poverty level, anybody that wants to know more about how to combat this poverty. Okay,
now this discussion will be airing while your seminar is in progress, but for those folks who are just finding out about the seminar or interested in it or want to talk to one of your staff members, how do they get in touch with you?
You can call our program. Our main number is 918-732-7985, and you can talk to the front desk, and then she try to answer any questions, or if she can't answer questions, then she'll send it to one of our other workers, an intake worker possibly can answer questions, or even myself. You can even call me if you want to, and then we can try to answer any questions you may have that, because, we don't just get people who are in necessarily poverty, but we do get some other questions, too, about they may need help just 1 month. So we do have all those referrals that we possibly from the county-wide and tribal-wide.
Okay, that should do it. Is there anything you'd care to add, or perhaps something you'd like to underline or something like that?
Well, I know our program has been around for 9 years now, and we were kind of always in the background, and so we're trying to be more upfront now. We're of course, we've always tried to get our name out there, but we want those assistance programs to refer to our program to see if we can possibly assist also. We want to get those people in the program to try to get them out of the poverty or get them self-sufficient. We don't want everybody just completely relying on somebody month to month. We want them to come to us so we can give them the skills that they need to get out of poverty.
Right, because there is an end to the assistance you can give them.
Yes. Like I said, it is 60 months, so that time is start ticking once you start receiving your first monthly assistance check.
Okay, that was Mark Pendergrass with the over at the Poverty Awareness Seminar going on right now at the Mound Building. We have a reporter over there, Darren DeLon, who's covering that, and he says he's hoping that he might be able to get by later on and tell us what he's seen in terms of the seminar. But it was good for Mark to kind of explain it. Most of us, especially as reporters, know what poverty is. But it was good that they're putting out all these solutions and extending this invitation. All right, now let's move on. Recently, we at Muscogee Media got a personal tour of the new River Spirit Hotel by Mr. Pat Crofts, who is the CEO of River Spirit. He took us through some of the rooms that ordinary folks like you and I might be able to afford and get into, but we also got taken upstairs to the Chief's Suites, and he showed us incredible views up there. And during that tour, he took a few minutes to answer some of my questions about the facility, what it means to us, what it can produce for us, and how it all came about. So let's check it out, our visit to the River Spirit Hotel with Mr. Pat Crofts.
The concept of the rooms is when you walk in the rooms like this, you should feel like you're in the Caribbean or South Florida. It's very beachy. You've got the boardwalk. The carpet is like sand, and you've got the coral and the foam greens and the blues. Very nice. The rooms are oversized. They're 480 square feet, which is very spacious. As you can see, you get a king bed, you get a couch, got all the artwork and everything. It's all very tropical, very water. And you walk in, and when you've got a lot of water in the river out there. And it comes as a one-bedroom suite, but we have an adjoining bedroom. It's standard a one-bedroom suite, but it comes with an adjoining room if you want to make it into a two-bedroom suite. It's got a bar, dining area, lounging area.
Now, I hate to use a cliche here, but would this be the kind of space for what they call the proverbial high rollers?
Yeah, that's kind of the general idea of the corner suites, and the executive suite like this is for our VIP player, and it would be the better players that would get a suite like this.
And as you say, VIPs, they've come to expect this sort of thing. And
well, they do. If they go to Las Vegas and places like that, and they're a regular gambler at other casinos and resorts, they would get a free room. It'd be part of their package that they would get. And people can rent these. These junior suites can be rented. When we get to the chief suite at the end of the tower, we don't generally rent those. Those would be like for our performers. And this would be kind of a hospitality suite also. If you had a group in and they needed a place to meet, separate from their conference, they could come up here and meet.
I was thinking as I walked in, this is probably bigger than my house. Excellent.
Oh yeah, wait till you see the chief suite.
Yeah, this is the creme de la creme, is it?
This is one of the best rooms in the house for sure. And it would be, like I said, it would be, performers, visiting dignitaries, very, very high-end players. But these aren't, they're not offered to the general public. They'd be like a hospitality suite or a performer or a very high-end player.
So if the president were to come through here?
this would be our best. We'd put him there.
Or the host of Maiden News Today.
The place is amazing. I mean,
Yeah, this is, I mean, like, it's a bigger version of the other, but the views up here are just incredible. And it's really spacious and, nicely appointed. And people that come up here, they love it. They really do. I mean, what's not to like? And what's even more amazing about this site is the history I know about this site is it was kind of a people dump their stuff here, and when the tribes and the people started looking for allotted land, this was kind of like a leftover, and that's how the Muscogee Creek Nation got it. Now it's probably the most valuable piece of property in the county.
Right. I
mean, it's and the fact that we were able to reclaim land out of the river that had washed down the river over centuries. It's just we've turned it into a very, very valuable piece of property, which used to be, a dumping ground, basically. The average household income for all of the zip codes around here is over $120,000 a year. That's the average household income across the U.S. is about $60,000. So we're like all of the zip codes around this area here are more than double the national average. So there's money, there's people with, disposable income that live in this area.
Now, you mentioned the kind of the impact it had on this area. I'm going to presume that's going to include like real estate values and things like that.
Absolutely. And, like what happened around the Hard Rock out in Catoosa, the property values went up. You saw a lot of other development going up, other hotels, restaurants, retail. And I think that'll develop around here. I mean, you've already see across the way, there's already a large upscale apartment building going on right across from here. There was an article in the paper about that not too long ago, and the gentleman that is building it specifically said the catalyst that made him pull the trigger and go on it was the fact we broke ground in what we're building here. So it's having a definite impact on the area.
Is there a potential for kind of a backlash, go too far, and perhaps some people would criticize you as being overdeveloped and changing the whole nature of the place? Do you see that potential?
Well, I don't, but I'm pro-development, and I've been in this business a long, long time. I'm sure there is. I mean, there's differing views on everything. A lot of people just don't like casinos because they're casinos, but what I try to tell everybody on this particular project is this is 1.2 million square feet of expansion. Only 50,000 square foot of it is a casino. The rest of it is hotel, restaurants, spa, theater, more bars and restaurants, and it's a whole entertainment and resort. So a small portion of it is casino. Everybody calls it this big casino development, but it's a resort. It's not just slot machines and table games. It's the whole experience.
I think that's an important point for us to look at. Is a potential customer could come to this facility and not ever.
Oh, absolutely. It was designed that way. I mean, people, you check in the front lobby there, and you've got family and children. You don't have to go through the casino. You can get to the Ruth Chris restaurant. I mean, you can do whatever you want. And if you choose to go through the casino, great, and we hope you do, but you don't have to, and it's not required. You can go stay in the hotel, go to the health club, go to the spa, go out to the swimming pool deck. Some places, particularly in Las Vegas, the common, I guess, philosophy there is to make everybody walk through your casinos to get to everything. A lot of them you'll check in and you have to walk through the casino to get up to your room, and they want you to, exposure to your casino as much, which we make it easy. I mean, you can see when you come in the hotel lobby, there's the big portal, to the Margaritaville restaurant, and if you go the other way, there's an entry to the River Spirit Casino, but it's not a mandatory. It's friendly to everybody.
Have you discussed this with tribal officials about the return, financial return from the hotel and everything here to the tribe? I mean, how does that break down?
We hired an outside company. It was called they were called the Innovation Group. They do feasibility studies in financial pro formas for hospitality and hotels and casinos all over the world. And they did a number of studies, and they did financial projections and ROI analysis, and that was all presented by them to the National Council probably 3 or 4 years ago when we first started it. And that was before we did anything. That was one of the building blocks, and the first steps was making sure it was, feasible, and there was an ROI on it. And it's proven to be true. I mean, I'm not at liberty to disclose numbers. I give numbers to the chief and the council every month and every quarter. But for instance, over New Year's Eve, this year we had a hotel and had the Margaritaville Casino. Our revenues are up over 20%. And last weekend when we had the hotel and we had a concert, the revenues are up almost 25%. It costs more money. I'm not saying we're going to make day one that much more money, but it's proven itself, and it will over time, to be very, very viable and profitable to the nation.
So I guess I'll have to go wrangle those figures out of the
chief. Have to talk to the chief and talk to the National Council.
How long do you think it'll take before this pays for itself? Like, what's the turnaround time on having, like, the loan and everything, all the costs paid off?
We paid off phase one, the original River Spirit Casino. That was paid off in 5 years. This one is obviously more, so it may be, maybe 10 years before it's all paid off. But in the meantime, we were able to negotiate a loan where literally the loan payments on this expansion projects are actually less than the loan payments were on phase one. Interest rates are lower, but our credibility and our credit ratings and everything became much better because we were so successful in phase one.
Is Buffalo Run just blowing smoke when they say that you are going to pay for all of this by having tighter slot machines and a tougher way to win?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent. They probably have some loose slot machines. They talk about 99% payback machines. Those are video poker machines. We have those in the house. You can't do what they're talking about. I mean, they talk about it on TV all the time, but we have some very, very loose slot machines. We all buy from the same manufacturers. And if you tighten up your machines too much, people will, go play somewhere else. I mean, the players let you know what machines you should buy, and if they're too tight, they'll let you know, because at the end of the day, we get a report on every machine every day, how much business, and if they're not performing right, and they're too tight or they're not fun to play, they don't stay in the house very long. We just rotate them out.
Is there any difference between Margaritaville and its gaming floor versus River Spirit and the original gaming floor?
Not really, other than all the machines are brand new. I mean, we do turn them over a lot, very frequently in River Spirit. We do have a lot of Class 2 machines at Margaritaville Casino because that's what the customers really like. Oklahoma grew up on Class 2 machines, and they love them. And that's like I say, we don't tell the customers what machines we're going to offer. The customers tell us what machines they're going to play, and that's what we put on our floor.
Okay, and table games, where do they fit in?
Same thing. Table games are not that important right now. They're important, but they're a small percentage of the revenues. Like I said, because Oklahoma grew up on Class 2, slot machines. And we have our laws are a little bit different. If you play blackjack, you got to put up an ante. But players don't like putting up an ante to play blackjack. If they're playing poker, you're used to anteing up and playing against everybody, but our laws here is the tables is, kind of a pari-mutuel playing against one another. So you put up an ante and you play, and the players win a certain amount, and what the house win goes into a player's pool. That has to be given back to the players. And so it's never been big. Plus, we don't have high limits on the tables either. It's not the main game, in Oklahoma yet. I think it might get there, but we're pretty centric on slot machines.
You mentioned the state of Oklahoma a couple of times there, and I'm curious as to what's their attitude. I remember years and years ago when the first high stakes bingos and that sort of thing were coming in, and there was a huge resistance to it, and fearful of what it would do to communities and people, going broke and this kind of thing, or that it would not make any money and the state would be in a jam itself. What's the attitude now?
Well, they've been supportive so far, but, our current compacts are up in a few years, and, the state, like every other state in the country, is looking for tax revenues, and I'm sure they're going to be looking for, to look for more ways for tax revenues for the state. And, this is my personal opinion again, but if they could relax the rules on table games, where we didn't have to do things like charging antes and, be more traditional Class 3 table games, I think that would make more revenue for the state as well, a win-win for the state and the casinos. I assume they're thinking about that. I hope they are. But no, they've been very supportive. I mean, they've been good to work with.
Do you have an idea of how much you've been able to pay to the state in terms of the compact?
Yeah, we pay about $15 million a year, I think. I think the last years that were made public were 2014, and I think the Muscogee Creek Nation, among our 9 casinos, was around $15 million in fees. And
so when you look at it from the point of view of all the tribes in the state, and that's a real big chunk of change, right? Right. I think it was, 120, 130 million. I forget. There was an article came out, a month or two ago. So, yeah, the tribal casinos they're good for the state, no question about it. Okay, great. Not only just in the fees, but in the number of people we employ. I mean, we're, like I mentioned here, this project, we created 1,000 new jobs, 300 million impact over construction and over 100 million a year afterwards. So we're good for the state, no question about it. Okay, great.
And money to make sure gaming stays illegal in the state of Texas, so Texans will come up here and spend their money.
Well, they've been talking about legalizing gaming in Texas for at least 30 years, maybe longer than I'm aware of. And I don't know if it'll happen or not. I know, one of the other tribes here, has bought a couple of racetracks there, because that's generally the way gaming starts. It'll be at a racetrack, or in the case of Mississippi and Missouri and Iowa, they were riverboats. So, and pari-mutuels, a lot of states, Pennsylvania and like that, there were, and to a certain extent, Florida, they had pari-mutuel, dog tracks and horse tracks. And so they turned them into racinos, where they've still got the tracks, and they add slot machines. Pretty soon the track is pretty inconsequential, and you've got a great big casino. But that's kind of the way the enabling legislation that generally starts, the path of least resistance. If there's some form of gaming, in the state or in the jurisdiction, they can grow on that rather than starting over.
What sort of opposition do you still encounter? I could imagine. When the idea first came up, there might be people who had religious objections and others who had their own economic problems.
Yeah, I would think the people that don't believe in gambling, for religious reasons or whatever. And, another thing, too, is, people that can't afford it, we don't want them in here gambling. And we have a lot of programs for people. We have programs where they can self-ban themselves. And a lot of people will lose a little bit of money. They'll self-ban themselves, and they'll come back the next day and say, I didn't mean it. Well, that's okay. You may not have meant it, but you're banned for 30 days. You can't come back for a minimum of 30 days. They can ban themselves for life. And if they admit they have a problem, and part of our compact fees actually goes to problem gaming, fund at the state level. So.
How does that take place? Did you have monitors that perhaps roam the floor and look for that sort of thing?
No, it's self-reporting. I mean, we don't extend credit. I mean, that's the way in a lot of jurisdictions people can get in trouble gambling, is when you extend credit to them, and we don't extend credit. We don't even cash checks ourselves. We have an outside service that if someone wants to cash a small check, that's guaranteed by the outside service, and we will cash the check. But under Creek gaming law, we can't and we don't want to extend credit.
It sounds like you're really taking the initiative then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have to. We need to. I mean, it can be addicting, no question about it. And we do. If we see somebody that's getting in over their head, we don't mind saying something to them. Like I said, the biggest thing, people they will go overboard a little bit, and they know they need to stop, so they'll say, "Stop me! I want to put a ban on myself." And if they've gotten to that point, it needs to be a fairly lengthy ban. The big building over here, obviously, is our theater.
Now, can I do something silly and ask you to repeat that? All of that, the view.
Okay, we're looking south here out of one of the chief suites. Directly below us is the pool deck. You can see the size of the deck. private cabanas, the swim-up bar, all the palm trees are in place. And directly to the east of the pool is the Margaritaville, which has 2 decks overlooking the pool and the river. Directly above that is our convention center, and immediately to the south of that is our theater.
And all of these are open to the general public?
All of that is open to the public. The pool itself, the pool deck, you need to be a hotel guest, card, key access, room key access. The other side, that's a swim-up bar at this end. On the other side of it is where the general public can come off the trail, and come up and enjoy the pool deck, or the pool bar.
Great.
There's the Creek Turnpike. In the location of the low water dam is just the other side of the creek, just south of the Creek Turnpike.
Now, with
Once that goes in, all of this will be water. The water level will be up. Here again, you asked me one time about the shoring up of the bank.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the trail was going to be moved back here. You can see the white rock, the riprap, goes the entire length of our property.
So all of this we're seeing in the river bottom there, from the hotel over to the bridge there going into Jinx, that will be a lake?
Yeah, that'll be filled up once the low water dam, and that'll all be water all the way up like a large lake.
That's awesome. Thank you. I can just do. Wow.
This is
No one's up here.
blackouts on the west side. It's like the other one we were in 44 of those corner suites.
Now, you say 2 of the chief suites like that?
But we're just in two of the chief executives, the large suites. We have 8 what we call executive suites, which was the second largest suite, and then we have 44 of the corner room suites.
Now, this is next to the top level, did you say?
Yeah, there's one more floor identical to this directly above us that has, standard rooms, 2 junior suites, and then the chief suite at the west end of the building.
Is that one currently busy,
What's that?
occupied?
Well, midweek we aren't full, but on the weekends we're pretty full. And that's what we have a group sales department that's starting to build the group business and bring people in midweek.
Watch this.
2, and this is the grand ballroom, the pre-function room here, and the grand ballroom here. They're here all day today.
Did you say this is the grand ballroom here?
Yeah, this is the grand ballroom. This is part of it. It divides up into several sections if you want. In this particular group, the Oklahoma Hotel and Lodging Association were here today, and they just took up about 1/3 of the ballroom. This is only 1/3 of it right here that you can see.
What has been the reaction to that group to what you've got here?
Well, I think they're very supportive. I mean, they like, the property, and I think, having the additional room inventory in the market helps the Convention and Visitors Authority bring in bigger and bigger groups.
So say you were to see Tulsa land one of the major political conventions, this would be quite an asset.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been working a lot with...
Oh, this is for
Like VIP, like come in and check in.
Private, it's like a VIP check-in area. We have private men's, private women's. The VIP people can come in. We'll have coffee and things for them to eat while they're waiting to check in, or just waiting, lounging around.
Have you had much traffic through here yet?
No, we haven't opened this up yet. It's just been kind of a staging area for everything else going on. And when the VIP events we've had to date have been, half of the hotel have been VIPs. It's been like an invitee thing where they'd all want to come over here, and the line would be longer out this door. When we get more normalized, and the VIPs are coming, 1 or 2 or a half a dozen at a time rather than a whole lot at a time.
here like 3 or 4 times.
Most Margaritavilles, kind of their signatures, they have a volcano and they have a seaplane hanging from the ceiling, and a bar like this. Ours is the only one in the chain that has a bandstand in the base of the volcano. So this is the main entry into the Paradise Coast Theater, and we have a lot of beverage stations for people to get all kinds of soft drinks, beer, hard drinks, whatever. They can get pretzels, popcorn, things like that, before the show to enjoy, or during the show for that matter. One of the things we wanted to make sure is there weren't long lines, so there's a large number of outlets here.
Now, what sort of features will you be playing here?
The acts. I've got a cheat sheet here. Of course, we just had Chris Young and Charlie Wilson. Thursday of this week we have Don Henley coming up. Friday we have Alan Jackson, and then a week from Saturday, Jimmy Buffett. 1st of February we have Foreigner. Then we have an Extreme Fight Night, MMA. Whitney Cummings as a comedian. We have ZZ Top coming on March the 10th. We have Tony Bennett on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Brad Paisley, who the last time he was in Tulsa played at the BOK Center, where Brad will be playing in our theater here. Chicago, March 24th. REO Speedwagon, March 25th. And Chris Rock will be appearing April 5th.
You've got a little something for everyone now.
Oh yeah, we've got new country, classic country, new rock, jazz, comedians, ring events, fighting events. We do try to do a little bit for everyone.
What do you look for when you're choosing the acts that come in? What do you want?
We number one want to have a little bit for everybody. We don't want this to be all one thing, because we want the most people we can get into the building, experience the building, and get them in here. And a lot of it is who's hot right now. I mean, what we're able to do with the theater here is more than twice the size of our old event center. So we're able to attract much better acts, higher rated acts. And you can see from the lineup we have, these are some A-listers, some really high end, and they will bring in the most number of people into the facility.
When I walked in here, my first impression was, hey, this is just like a movie theater. Mm-hmm. But then you started running down the list of different concessions available, and you mentioned hard drinks.
Yep, you can order a drink here. You can order. We have a number of craft beers and regular beers on tap. You can get, if you want a rum and coke or a whiskey sour or a gin and tonic or whatever. You can get any of that here. Domestic beer, imported beer, and soft drinks and water and things like that. It's a pretty big menu.
What sort of monitors do you place on the edge of people ordering that sort of?
All of our bartenders and people that work here have to go through the training, and if you don't look like you're about 30 years old, you'll probably be asked, for an ID, because the ABLE Commission, and we're subject to the state ABLE laws, and they can come through and check anytime they want, and if they catch someone selling alcohol to a minor, it's a pretty hefty fine. So they're very, very aware, and they will ask a lot of people for ID.
Mm-hmm. And there are consequences if there's a mistake.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely consequences, not just to the owner, but to the individual employees that would sell to a minor.
Well, you weren't kidding when you were talking about the size of the place. It dwarfs the
footprint of the building's 90,000 square feet. It's like over 4 stories high, huge amount of volume. It's basically built like a performing arts center. You can see all the acoustic all around on the walls. You can see the acoustic, the lighter gray, and the paint. Everything down to the paint is acoustic. There's 8 inches of concrete on the roof, below the roof itself. You can have a golf ball size hail hitting the roof. You'd never hear it inside of here. You could have a jet plane fly over, you won't hear it. The sound in here, it's like Chris Young mentioned that he was the first one that appeared here, and he was blown away by the quality of the sound here.
When I look around, I see it's obviously larger than the other one, but yet it's not this massive, huge
Right.
coliseum. There's almost a feel of a kind of intimacy here.
It is. I mean, that was by design. It's big enough we can attract, the A-list, the big entertainers, but it's still intimate enough that you can be on the back row and it's still a great view. In addition to being a great view, we have huge video screens that come down, with the entertainers will be on that also.
Well, it's nice to see your list had a couple of bands that I remember when I was a kid.
Party pits, one on either side. The VIP suite seats will seat between 15 and 20, and in the party pits on either side, you can do 20 to 30 people very comfortably in the side up there. And we'll run up there in a minute, but the sound up there is excellent, and the views are even better.
Now, those suites are kind of reserved for more smaller parties and
Yeah, it's actually VIPs. I mean, it's we don't sell tickets to the general public up in the VIP suites.
So if there's only 3 or 4 people, so be it.
They're usually. I mean, we have a huge demand, of our players, gaming players that like to and will go up there. So they won't be empty by any means, but we don't sell tickets up there to the general public. A lot of venues and coliseums will have like 18 or 19-inch seats, about like an airline. All of our seats are either 20, 22, or 25 inches wide. So they're very, very comfortable, and as you can see, we have nice leg room between them.
And made for the more generously proportioned customer.
Yep, absolutely. Comfort. Seats are removable, so if we do a ring fight, an MMA or a ring fight, the ring would be right here in the center, would be up on risers, and these seats would be gone, but we would put risers and seats on either side and seats up on the stage. So this seat's about $2,700 for a concert or a comedy act or something like that. We can go up to $3,000 for sporting events by putting the ring here and putting seats up on stage.
Do you have any booked yet?
Yeah, we do. We have an MMA fight coming February 17th.
Okay, good.
Catwalks and everything above it. And one thing it's really probably more of a performing arts center than it is just a theater because of all the acoustics and the design. And, it's got a concrete roof.
Yeah.
So a classical performer, soloist could...
Yeah, they will be in here. We'll have people like that. Tony Bennett will be here. I don't know if he's going to bring a big band or not. He may belt it out by himself.
I'm amazed.
You're the production manager, so we have 3 offices for the visiting people, and this is the meet and greet area right down here.
I know, right? They just get This is where they have
This would be the meet and greet. You can see the background, where people would stand. You should go down there and stand in front of it, Paradise Cove, and get your photo killed. Some entertainers will do a meet and greet. Some of them don't like doing it. The ones that do it is pretty limited, maybe 20 people. Some of them will open it up and you can do a lot, but most of them are maybe 20.
Who comes in to meet and greet?
Well, the entertainers are here, and the people that generally get to meet and greet again is our very best gaming customers.
Which way do we go?
Eating area here, where they can lounge and eat and whatnot, watch TV. We have washers and dryers if they want to use those. We have another lounge for the band members and the tours in here. And then these over here, we have three dressing rooms this size. It's not locked. Hello? This is we have 5 dressing rooms. We have 3 larger like this, and we have 2 a little bit smaller.
These chairs.
You haven't had any unusual requests yet, huh?
Have any what?
Unusual requests in the dressing room?
They're all unusual.
Well, I understand that a lot of the performers have specific riders.
There are entertainers that only want certain colors of M&Ms, and there are some very unusual requests. Only certain types of bottled water, certain types of fruit, things like that. They all have a rider that's attached to their agreement. And
I think, though, that what I read somewhere, or I saw in a documentary or something, that people that
they go, that's really ridiculous, but they do that to make sure that they know that the people are going to be diligent about meeting their demands about everything. So if they'll do it about an M&M, they'll do it about the sound.
Oh,
and all
sure.
that, yeah.
Yeah, and they have very strict about the different sounds and things like that and the equipment. There's a men's room, restroom, women's restroom, showers here, and two more of the larger dressing rooms. Pretty much the same as the first one.
Yeah, I think Chris said it was like you could only take
One's going in the middle, so this can be a big double size. If you got like a big group, just leave the door open and they can interact.
like Chicago.
Yeah.
Getting set up there. Now, we've had a really wonderful look at the hotel, its facilities here. We're on stage here now. What kind of financial investment are we talking about, what we've seen today?
Well, the total project was $365 million.
And how did that come about?
It was put together by the architects. It was costed out. We have the construction company is Manhattan Redstone Construction Company. They did cost estimates. It was over our budget, and we did a whole lot of value engineering, cutting back where we could without without cutting the quality of what we are offering and the number of rooms and things like that. So it was the result of a couple of years of design work and costing out and working back and forth with the construction companies and with the involvement of the oversight committee I mentioned earlier. And that was all taken before them and voted on by the oversight committee and then taken to the National Council to approve the project and the borrowing.
I understand, if I remember correctly, the original hotel project was smaller and that you decided to expand and add more rooms?
You're talking about the original River Spirit or this project?
This project.
No, I think it was maybe a little bit less. And a lot of what happened was the cost of picking up the ground out into the river. Where we reclaimed about 14 acres of land, out into the river, which helped us where we didn't suffer with parking and interruptions with the existing business. That was fairly expensive. We took about 400,000 cubic yards of material out of the river, brought it up onto the bank, and then secured it with sheet piling and compacted it, and then put piers down and built on top of the piers.
Okay, your final question, and I'm sure the one that's probably on the minds of our Muscogee citizens, is how does it get paid for?
It gets paid from the profits of the operation. And I mentioned before, our monthly and quarterly debt service on this is actually less than it was on the existing River Spirit Casino. Interest rates are down. The terms of our loan, because of our creditworthiness, are a lot better. We're actually borrowing lower than prime interest rate right now on this particular project, just because we've proven to the financial community that we're a good credit risk and we pay on time and we have their trust.
When will it all be paid for?
Oh, well, the current loan is it's less than 10 years on the current loan, but it's set up where it can roll over or be refinanced at any point in time. If interest rates get even better, we can refinance it at that time also.
Okay, great. Anything you'd care to add?
No, I think it's coming together really good. It's going to take. It normally takes 12 to 18 months to what they call normalize or get your operations really operating at peak efficiency. Like I said, the rooms are full on the weekends now. We're building midweek business, and given a little bit of time, this thing is just going to be knocking it out of the park. It's doing a really good job right now, but we've only been open, 2 weeks with the hotel and 3 months with the casino, but things are coming along well. I think it's going to be a really good investment for the nation.
Okay, that'll do it for me. It's all
You
you.
know what? We're probably going to drop you out in a while.
All right, that was our tour of the new hotel and its facilities at the River Spirit Casino. We'd like to thank Pat Crofts and his crew for taking the time to show us around and give us some behind-the-scenes look. A couple of quick announcements here while we're setting up our next next phone call here. The Muscogee Creek Nation Challenge Bowl Committee is looking for volunteers for the 2017 Challenge Bowl competition that will take place at the College of the Muscogee Nation this year. That's a competition comprised of schools or community teams that compete by answering questions concerning our Creek legends, history, language, and tribal government. There's a great need for Muscogee language speaker volunteers as well as other official positions. So if you're interested in helping them out, they need folks who are moderators, match judges, scores, timekeepers, and that sort of thing. Give Melinda Deeringwater, a volunteer coordinator, a buzz at 918-549-2521. Okay, moving along real quick. We have on the line Tara Beaver, who is with the Muscogee Creek Nation Scholarship Committee for the Miss Muscogee Nation and Miss Junior Muscogee Nation, and they're looking at a real tough deadline right quick. Tara, are you with us there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. First of all, the committee is about to wrap things up as far as entrance for the competition. Is that correct? The deadline is almost on us?
Yes, the deadline is fastly approaching, and our deadline to have all your application in and required documents is February the 28th.
Okay. For those folks who are not familiar with the overall pageant, the scholarship pageant, it's not quite the usual beauty queen competition sort of thing, right?
No, actually, it's not.
What are the differences there?
Well, the difference between just your typical beauty queen pageant and the scholarship pageant, it is an educational opportunity. We offer, the educational scholarship, and then a host of required appearances prior to the competition. We do a royalty retreat, which that is a required appearance, and to be in the pageant. And we look at cultural appearances. Our judging is based off our introduction letter, an essay, interview, their traditional dress and introduction, their social interaction, cultural talent, or what they call a presentation, and impromptu questions. These all take in consideration as telling, their point in determining our next junior miss or miss.
I've seen in the past where a part of the competition is culture-based, as you mentioned there, and some of these contestants will actually introduce themselves in the Muskogee language, right?
Yeah, that's recommended that they do introduce, be knowledgeable of our language and can speak it, but it's not required. But we do recommend they have, they're knowledgeable about our language. And a lot of times, when we're recruiting contestants for the pageant, some of them are new, to our language and wanting to step in, and gain knowledge, because it's kind of like a educational experience for them too, in our culture too. So we provide pageant coaching. If they're wanting to know more about our language or about our cultural history, we go above and beyond to make sure they're well equipped and going into the pageant.
Now, what are the requirements for these contestants? I presume they'll have to come forward in cultural dress and other things, but they have to be a certain age and other guidelines.
Yeah, like our regular requirements to submit the application. They have to have a GPA of a 2.0 or higher. Be a Creek citizen, not dual enroll. Just be a Creek citizen. Junior Miss contestants have to be 14 to 17 years old, and our Miss 17 to 24 years old by January the 1st of this year. They must be enrolled at a high school or higher education and reside, here in the state. And they have to have access to the traditional Muscogee clothing. Never been married or conceived a child, no cohabitating with a significant other. They attend our royalty retreat, what I've already mentioned. And we like for them to review our contract so they know what they're getting, what they're getting themselves into when we do crown a new junior miss or miss. We want them to be aware in our expectations of our contract, so we go ahead and have them sign that.
Now, that is an important part. First of all, I guess, what do they win? And then tell us about these guidelines they sort of have to live their life by, so to speak.
Okay, so what our junior, let me get there, our junior miss wins just cash, whereas the miss ones will win a scholarship and a cash opportunity. And, they get the crown, a beaded crown, a silver crown, a box to carry their crown in, plaque, luggage, all, branded luggage, bouquet of flowers, trying to think of what all they, would win that day of. And when we do our cash, when they win this cash, we actually do it in disbursements throughout their reign, because as we ongoing during their reign, we like to keep updated information. They have them submit what we call our quarterly reports. And when they submit these quarterly reports, they get some of their disbursements of their cash payment that they have won.
Well, that's a kind of a handy way of keeping an eye on their activities. And representing the Muscogee Nation is quite an honor, of course, but it's also a huge responsibility, right?
Yes, it is. They take on a huge role, because they are an ambassador of our tribe now, and they're just at all appearances where you see our chief and our second chief at, so they're kind of like hand in hand, and their roles are really important in keeping track of their contract and make sure nothing is, out of touch, and as we go forward.
Now, this sort of governs the way they live their lives, as you mentioned, and the requirements. They have to be unmarried and have not become a mother and that kind of thing. But they're also kind of living under the watchful eye of a what would you call it, a chaperone?
Well, we have chaperones, but I think what you're getting at, it's just everyone's always watching them, as our junior miss and miss, just publicly and personal living. But everyone is always watching them, so they're put on on a high pedestal of their of what they do, every day, and their speaking engagements and their public appearances, more importantly.
And those appearances can take them around the nation, right?
Yes. We do have, our required appearances. That would be, attending our pageant quarterly, our quarterly National Council sessions and our regular sessions. We do have required.
Forgive me here. We're about to run out of time. So if someone was interested, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, if someone is interested in running for a pageant or just wanting to get some information, we actually will be tonight at the College of the Muscogee Nation. We'll be there from 6:30 to 8:30. We'll be at the Student Center, I believe, yes. And from 6:30 to 8:30, we'll provide light refreshments. And if they're not able to make it tonight, you can always contact us through email, Facebook, and just calling, the 918-549-2557 just to get more information. You can also find us on the Muscogee Nation website under Scholarship Pageant.
Okay, well, I tell you what, thank you so much. We appreciate you sharing that, and we'll let you go, and good luck with it.
Thank you so much for having us on today. We look forward and moving forward through our pageant.
Okay, Mado.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you all for listening to Muscogee Radio. I'm Gary Fife saying Mado Mabuhejitskut. You've been listening to Muscogee Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.